North High School.
That's north.
Trey Johnson, a close friend and classmate, remembers him fondly.
He was quiet. I mean, nice kid, do anything for you.
I thought Jeremy Perkins was very weird.
Gabrielle Carlson had a different impression.
You know, he didn't seem like he could interact with anybody.
Gabrielle has always been suspicious of Scientology, but her brother Jeff joined the Buffalo Church. In 1996, he married Danielle Perkins, Jeremy's sister.
And I remember Jeremy he seemed to be happy for Danielle and for Jeff.
Jeremy's behavior had not yet become a problem for the church, but its handling of another member's mental health at Scientology's spiritual headquarters in Clearwater, Florida, would soon erupt in crisis. 36-year-old Lisa McPherson had died after spending 17 days undergoing Scientology's treatment for a nervous breakdown.
Isolate them, don't speak to them, put them in a quiet environment.
Autopsy photos showed Lisa's body emaciated, scratched, and bruised. Investigators discovered she'd been physically restrained.
They were trying to force-feed her food and water. They were giving her different combinations of Scientology vitamins and so on.
They let her die. They watched her die.
Lisa's aunt, Del Liebrick, brought a civil suit against the church, in which Kent was a paid plaintiff's expert. The church settled that case without admitting wrongdoing, insisting that Lisa's death was triggered by an injury from a recent traffic accident.
I'm angry at what they did. I'm upset that her life was cut short by not getting care.
Years after her death, Lisa was still making headlines in Florida. By now, Scientologists in Buffalo were starting to wonder if they had a problem of their own.
Hey, Jeremy.
Ever since he was a teenager, Jeremy Perkins' dream was to be a rock drummer.
That's probably his only release.
That was his one passion.
Pretty much.
Regan Worling was close friends with Jeremy through the late 90s, and the guitar player in their heavy metal band, The 10th Plague. Worling says Jeremy was serious about his music and his religion.
He did everything based on the church.
I always liked Scientology, but I think I spent too much time there. I was forced into it too much.
Jeremy was living at home, working for his father's contracting business and helping his mother with her glass painting. He was clearly functional, but Worling says he was definitely strange.
When he was like 24, he had told me that he heard voices, and that he told his father that he heard voices, and that his father told him to tell the voices to be quiet.
Instead of sending Jeremy to a psychiatrist, the Perkins family sent him to California to join an elite group within Scientology known as the Sea Org.
In the late 1960s, when Hubbard was running into difficulties with governments around the world, he established a small fleet of ships on the ocean. And these were called the Sea Organization, or Sea Org. Hubbard condemned.
Scientology expert Stephen Kent says that today the Sea Org is back on shore, its membership a sort of priesthood within the church.
When they joined Sea Org, they signed a billion-year contract, although there are...
Did you say billion?
A billion is in B. Yes, a billion-year contract.
Jeremy's billion-year contract didn't last 1 year.
He got rejected for a reason which I am unaware of.
The abrupt termination of Jeremy's Sea Org contract may have been tied to what former Scientologist Rich Dunning saw for himself in 2001. Jeremy's behavior was growing increasingly bizarre.
Just that look in his eye that you knew that something was not right with him.
48 Hours has obtained these court-ordered psychiatric evaluations of Jeremy, which were written after the murder of his mother in 2003. They indicate that Jeremy was showing symptoms of schizophrenia as early as 2001. But the Perkins family has long maintained that their son's condition was somehow triggered by an accident which occurred in 2002 while Jeremy was working on his father's truck.
Well, that's nonsense, of course.
Psychiatrist Brian Joseph treated Jeremy after his arrest.
People often think that if they bump their head because your brain is in your head, then your brain is somehow affected and that causes mental illness.
I hit my head coming out from underneath the truck. I hit my head on the door.
A bump on the head can cause a concussion. It does not cause schizophrenia.
Jeremy's parents took him for a CAT scan on 2 separate occasions. No abnormalities were ever found.
Of the numerous doctors that examined Jeremy, none ever thought that there was any significance with regard to the bumping of the head.
Jeremy's defense attorney, John Nucciarino, says his client continued to decline over the summer of 2002.
The illness took over to an extent where his father noticed it in his work and had to relieve Jeremy of his employment.
He had to fire his own son.
He did.
Jeremy was even banned from taking Scientology courses.
The church did know that he was a troubled individual. That's why they put him PTS, which is a potential trouble source, which is basically a label saying that you're sick and, you need to get help before you become active again.
Jeremy was now suffering from serious hallucinations and delusions. But Ellie frustrated her own doctor when she resisted advice to take Jeremy to a psychiatrist. The family did fill a prescription for the sleeping pill Sonata, but days later, things had only gotten worse.
We got the call about 6:25, 6:30 in the morning.
On August 14th, Officer Mark Martinelli caught Jeremy trespassing at the University of Buffalo. He'd been out wandering all night.
I just walked out that night.
You walk at night?
Yeah, I was walking out that night.
Then, things got rough.
They started fighting, punching, kicking.
Jeremy was arrested. A court-ordered psychiatric exam confirmed Martinelli's suspicions. Jeremy was schizophrenic. He was remanded to a local hospital, but he didn't stay there long.
His mother then convinced them to discharge Jeremy, I believe, to her, that she could take care of him.
Assistant Erie County District Attorney Ken Case prosecuted the Perkins murder.
Did officials believe, well, she's going to take him to a psychiatrist, she will get him on some sort of medication to control this problem?
That's my understanding, yes.
Did Ellie intentionally mislead people?
The investigation revealed to us that she felt very strongly against further psychiatric treatment.
Jeremy was reportedly seen by a neurologist at this hospital who also recommended antipsychotic medication.
And what was the family's response?
They didn't want that.
Because?
That would have been against their belief.
Why would you put somebody like him in the hands of psychiatry that admits it doesn't know how to actually solve the problem, that its only solution is to drug the person?
Scientologist Jen Eastgate, whose organization investigates psychiatric